Scott, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be helpful. My name is Nathaniel Player. I'm the director of the Utah State Courts Self-Help Center. Oh, I have just some resources to share with everybody that can help people when they're facing legal issues. The Utah State Courts are here to help. We have a fair number of free resources available, and I'm just going to show you some of them. Many of our resources are available online, and I'm going to show you the court's website first. If you go to utcourts.gov, www.utcourts.gov, this is the court's main webpage, and it has some alerts here about system maintenance, alerts here with regard to COVID-19. If you have a hearing coming up that you need to be in court for, you want to check this to see if there are closures at your courthouse. Down here underneath this large picture, there are self-help resources. If you click this big blue text that says self-help, there are a lot of resources here on a number of things. There's helpful information on issues related to family law, consumer issues, debt collection, and small claims cases. And if we scroll down here, there's a whole section on housing. Specifically, there's a web page on housing and other issues. I'll start with the eviction page, since that's what is on people's minds right now. At the top, we have information specific to COVID-19, with what's going on. There's information regarding the CARES Act, and information regarding Governor Herbert's order. Governor Herbert's order does expire at the end of today. So I assume the part of this webinar is to talk about what could happen next. The court does have information on what happens next. I want to start by highlighting that it is illegal to evict a tenant without a court order. So no landlord can arbitrarily lock somebody out or go in and remove somebody or change the locks without a court order. Self-help eviction is illegal in Utah. There is a summary of the eviction process here. There's a flow chart that explains what happens. The short answer, and what most people need to know, is that the first thing that happens is, and I'll show this, the landlord will serve a notice of some kind. In this context that we're talking about of non-payment cases, it will be a notice to pay rent or move out. The tenant has 3 business days to pay the rent or move out. If they don't do that, then the landlord can file what's called a summons and complaint. So the first thing the tenant will receive is a 3-day notice. It could be handed to the tenant or taped to the door. The next thing that would happen is the tenant could get a summons and complaint. The summons and complaint would allow the tenant 3 days to respond. And I'll show you some resources for how to deal with that. There's more information on the page about the different types of notices, but at the bottom of the page, if you scroll past all this stuff, it walks you through the process. People can read it if they feel like it would help them. But there's a link to a system called OCAP, or the Online Court Assistance Program. And that is a system that can help prepare the paperwork to respond to an eviction case. Generally, the court likes to see people participate in the process, so we do want to have everybody participate. The Online Court Assistance Program can help. There's a video here that explains how the system works generally, and you can see here the types of things that you can do in OCAP. Specifically here, there are resources to help a landlord start an eviction case. There are also resources to help a tenant respond to an eviction case, and I'm going to show you that. If you are at this page, you can follow these instructions. If you need to create an account, you just need an email address. The system will email you a link to verify your email, and that is important if you need to reset your password. The system only works on a computer. It does not work on a tablet or a mobile device. I'll talk about resources for that in a second, but first let me show you OCAP. So if you have already created an account, you would click login. You would enter your username and your password, and then click login again. When you're at this point, you can see under here, this would all be blank if you first logged in. At this point, you could see under here, start new interview. There's a specific interview, it's number 4, to help a tenant respond to an eviction case. I've already started one. It's right here. It will take a second to load, and it will ask you a number of questions. In this case, it would say, you could say, I need to prepare an answer to an eviction case, eviction complaint, and summons. And then what you would do is you would click save and continue, and then it will explain how to use the system, and you just hit save and continue. And as you see, as you do that, you're moving down here through the guided interview. So it will ask you a series of questions. Based upon your answers, it will prompt you to respond to other questions within the system, and it will warn you about what happens when you go to court. At the end of the process, after you've answered all these questions, you'll be here, and then the system will be ready for you to prepare your documents. So if you can click over here, then the system will prepare your documents, and they'll look like this. The first page has instructions and guidance on what to do next. It is important that you read what happened and you make sure you pay attention to what you need to do. The short answer is that you need to read the documents and finish completing them and then sign them. If you scroll down past the instructions, and there are several, then it has information on how to file on your specific answer that you're filing with the court. So when the landlord files a case, they file what is called a complaint, and they attach that 3-day notice that you would have been served. The answer is the legal response to that lets the court know whether or not you agree or disagree with what the landlord has said. OCAP can also help prepare what's called a counterclaim. Basically, if you think that there are things that the landlord needs to do or hasn't done that should have been done, you can raise those issues. Normally, in a non-COVID-19 world, you would print these documents, but the court is aware that printing is not an option right now for many people. So what you can do is you can download them, and this icon here allows you to download them. And what I'm going to do is just download them to my desktop. And then what I can do, because the court knows that you might not be able to print right now, you can look for that on your desktop. It's here. And what I have on my computer is Adobe Acrobat Reader. So the documents look like this. And what I can do with Adobe Acrobat Reader is sign the documents. So if I scroll down, you'll see that in the answer, there's a very specific page where I need to put my signature. And I'm just going to find it, so it's here. So in this case, I pretended my name was Ronnie Renter. I can click this pen icon and say, yes, that's how I want you to use my name. I can put it here. So now the document is signed for the purposes of the court. And I could save it again. And you can just save it in the same spot. One thing that you'll want to be aware of if you're using OCAP is that it will prepare a document that is called a request for an occupancy hearing, and that is here. You might want to file this, you might not want to file this, but you should know what you're doing when you submit this. So the answer tells the court you disagree with what the landlord has claimed. The request for occupancy hearing tells the court you want a hearing as soon as possible on the occupancy hearing, on the landlord's claim. The sooner the occupancy hearing, the sooner you'll get a decision about whether or not you get to stay in your housing. So it's up to you as to whether or not you would want to actually file this document with the court. If you don't want to file that document, you could, on my computer, I can tell it to print to a PDF and only print out the documents I want to file. So I could just print out the answer. That's a little technical. I'll give you a resource to help you understand what to do if you're confused about all of this in a minute. But that's the short answer on how to file an answer. Again, filing an answer can protect your rights, can let the court know that you disagree with what the landlord claims in their papers. I'm just going to save this and say, yes, I'll save that for now. Sure. Going back to the court's resources, again, if I go to www.utcourts.gov, I'm at this homepage. I can go back to self-help, and I can scroll down to eviction again to find the page I was on before. And again, if I scroll to the bottom of this page, there are forms. And as I said, you might not have the ability to use OCAP because maybe you only have a tablet, maybe you only have a cell phone. So if you can't use OCAP to prepare an answer, there's another option. You'll see here the only option is use OCAP. But you can also, if you have a tablet or some other device, you could go up to this, back to this main page. And there's a link here for answering a complaint or petition. You can click on that link, it brings up this page and explains how to file an answer. And if I scroll down here, there is a specific form for an answer. You don't have to use OCAP. You can if you want, but you don't have to. This is another option. So I can download the form. If I open it, it will open in Word. And then I would just need to fill out the form. This information is your information. This you would get from the papers you have, same here and here. And then what you would do is just write out for each paragraph of the complaint, you would write out whether you agree with it, you disagree with it, or you don't know. This part is optional. You can explain if you have more things you want the court to know. And if you have a defense to the case, you can raise that here. Again, because the court understands that printing is hard right now, you can type out your name again and save that to your desktop. So there are two different ways to prepare your documents again. You can use OCAP to prepare an answer, or you can use the form that's available from the court's website. Then what you would need to do is file that with the court. It doesn't do any good if it's just sitting on your computer. So on all the court's web pages, there is this alerts and information page right here. And what it tells you is things that you should know that are different about how the court's operating right now. One thing that's different about how the court's operating right now is that they are allowing people to email documents to the court. So from this page, I can scroll down and see that there's information about filing. And if I have an existing case, and if you have an eviction case that's been filed, you do have an existing case, you can read about how to file those documents by email. And there's a chart based upon what county you're in, how to file that. The eviction cases are always in district court, not juvenile court. So you could use this to find out how to file the papers that you have for your case. So you would then open up your email, upload the document that you prepared for your answer, and send it to the court. What do you put in the subject line? You put filing in case number this. And you can include your contact information in the email so the court can contact you in case there are problems. That's how to get your foot in the door to let the court know you disagree with what the allegations are in the complaint. What happens after that is what I want to talk about next. Just because you file an answer doesn't mean that the case is over, it just means you protected your rights. The next step, and I want to go back to that flow chart. So if I go to the court's homepage and go back to self-help, and I go to this flow chart that I showed you earlier, what we talked about is you get a notice. Maybe you can't move out and you can't afford to pay. So then the landlord serves you a summons and complaint. And we talked about just now about filing an answer. So the next step is that either party can request the occupancy hearing. If you use OCAP, OCAP will prepare those papers automatically. Whether or not you want an occupancy hearing as soon as possible is for you to decide. You want to read the papers and understand it. The occupancy hearing, there's an explanation here, is to determine whether or not you will be removed from the housing. So what happens is the court will schedule a hearing. If you don't appear at the hearing, then the court will issue an order for eviction. If you do appear at the hearing, then there will be a discussion about whether or not you get to stay there or not. Right now, because of COVID-19, these hearings are happening by telephone and WebEx appearance. So the court will send you a notice. You want to read the notice, pay attention to it, and make sure you participate in the hearing. Because again, if you don't, then you lose the case automatically. and the court would issue potentially an immediate order of restitution that orders the sheriff to forcibly remove you. If your case is assigned to the Matheson courthouse, you will have the opportunity to get representation for free from a volunteer lawyer who will help you in the case and advocate for you. That would be negotiating with the other side to see if they can help, or arguing for the judge about what should happen next. If you're not at the Matheson courthouse, if you're at another courthouse, you can still go to the hearing and you can make those arguments yourself. The hard part about non-payment cases is that the only question is, did you pay the rent or not? But sometimes people can ask the court for more time. In this context of COVID-19, you can use that as an argument if it applies in your situation to see if it can help you. If you have questions, there are resources available from the court from this main page. There's information on the SelfHelp Center. That's where I work. SelfHelp Center can answer questions about court processes and options. We can provide forms and help on forms just like I've done today. We can tell you what's going on with your case. If you're not sure if you have an occupancy hearing, if you're not sure when it is, we can give you that information. We can connect you with other resources. SelfHelp Center can't give you advice and can't represent you, but we'll do our best to help you represent yourself. There are 3 ways to contact the SelfHelp Center. You can email us at selfhelp@utcourts.gov. You can call us at 888-683-0009, or you can text us at 801-742-1898. The SelfHelp Center is open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you contact us when we're closed, we'll get back to you the next day. You should also know that the SelfHelp Center can help with more than just an eviction case. We can help with any issue that is state law. So that's anything that's on the website: divorce, custody, small claims, probate, things like that. The court can help you get started, understand what happens next. The court can also help at the SelfHelp Center in any language. So if someone does not speak English, they can call us and we can. Most of us at the SelfHelp Center speak Spanish, so we can help directly in Spanish. But if someone needs help in another language, we can provide interpreter services. It would take us a couple days to get that lined up, but we could make an appointment for you to get help in your native language, so you're not struggling to understand us in English. All that is free. Anything that the court has to help you with regard to the SelfHelp Center is free. If you're filing an answer with the court, that's free. If you want to file a counterclaim with OCAP, there is a charge for that. If you can't afford to pay the counterclaim fee, OCAP can help you prepare a request to waive that fee. So the court services are meant to be as accessible as possible. The other thing that I will show you, if we go back to the main self-help page here, is that there's information on finding legal help that I can show you on this page. There's information about lawyers, what a lawyer can do, and when you get a free lawyer. Some people think that you get a free lawyer in every case we have difficulty. That's unfortunately not true. You have the right to a lawyer when you are facing criminal penalties, when you are at risk of losing custody of your children, things like that. Unfortunately, you do not get a free lawyer in an eviction case. There's information on how to find a lawyer. The Utah State Bar has a directory of how to do that. There is also a program that the Utah State Bar has called the Modest Means Program that can help you get connected with a discounted attorney. You can also talk with any attorney about limited legal help, where you get help with only a limited portion of your case. You can talk to lawyers about sliding scale fees or flat fee services, and you can see if you can hire a licensed paralegal practitioner, or you can look at representing yourself. There is also a legal clinic that the Utah State Bar has. We have a webpage on legal clinics. Unfortunately, many of the clinics are closed right now due to COVID-19, but the Utah State Bar does have a virtual legal clinic where you can sign up online and get a free 30-minute consultation with a lawyer for help with your issue. The hard part is that an eviction case tends to move very rapidly. And so if you are hoping to get help from a lawyer through this channel, understand that they are very busy and they can't always get back to you immediately. Usually it's a 3-day wait for them to get back to you. So think about your timing accordingly when you're contacting them. Those are the resources that I have. What we've talked about are the resources on the court self-help page. Talked about how to file a response in an eviction case. You can use OCAP or you can use the court's form. You can type in your signature and email those to the court now. And if you do that, the next thing that would happen in an eviction case is you would have an occupancy hearing. You want to go to the occupancy hearing. And then if you have questions or issues, please, please, please contact the SelfHelp Center and we're glad to help. That's all I have. I hope it's helpful.